Hello and welcome to episode 36 of the HamCorp Training Manual. In this episode, we set up the Cryostate quantum chiller for more power and the Hellforge for more progress. HamCorp recommends setting up the chiller in your office because the recent heat waves are not good for employee satisfaction. Coldest summer of the next 100 years, by the way. Welcome back. I have literally just now finished a building stream where we built a couple of things. So I built a little case for this hallway on the chemicals building. But I don't know what I want to do with the roof here, and I don't know if I need more space, so I've decided to leave it for now. Also added this little thing on top of the destabilizers, it's whatever. We added this little skylight on top of the Abydos lines. It's simple, but it works. Added this roof section on top of the ore processing, or like the special ore processing area. I think it's pretty nice. And it connects to the bacteria building, which finally has a roof. And it's pretty cool. I like it. It even looks nice from the inside, which is something I never get. I think big high windows are pretty cool. New technique discovered. Anyway, back in the chemical building, I managed to automate part of the PSS. So I've done everything up to this 3,4-ethylene dioxythiophene, which is one of the ASPs. I think it's this one. And then the other one does polystyrene sulfate, like this. And to keep it from just going forever, I'm like storing stuff. And as for the rest of it, I actually might pattern the rest of it because the rest of it is not really that slow and not very complex. So I think it might be safe for me to just pattern the rest and then I can make my PSS. The main reason I want to pattern it is because of this recipe. Sterile clean room. I don't want to build a whole sterile clean room over here just for that one machine. So I'm just going to pattern the rest of it. Right, now that I have this stuff, I can make Hellfire alloy materializers, and I can make Borealic neutron reflector casings. These are the next tier of reflectors, and I need them for progression. They need a bunch of void plates, ancient netherite plates, and the poly 3,4-ethylene blah blah blah. Before I make that though, I actually want to make the Cryostate quantum chiller so I can get the superstate helium for extra power. So let's put this thing together. Now if you remember, the CQC casings, these ones, need cryostone, which are produced in an ETFA. I've crafted them up. It's time to place them, and I am being rage baited right now. Look at this. This could have almost been perfectly shared, like with a 180-degree rotation. It would have been so satisfying, but there is literally just these 3 blocks prevent that from being possible. Oh, that hurts. All right, let's put this thing down. Not the greatest wall share in the world, but it looks kind of cool. Kind of a fun wall share to think about. Like, not all of these blocks are shared between both multis, so I was able to share some stuff, like this dual stocking hatch, but not like the output buses. So yeah, I don't know. I'm also using just one energy hatch over here and just giving it 2 amps of UHV, because I can do that. Yeah, generally, I don't know. I just had fun with this for some reason. It's a very simple multi. Now I can make the CQC. I got my CQCs crafting right now, and I'm just taking a look at Borealic neutron reflector casings, and I just realized, if I want to upgrade one of these, I have to upgrade all of them, because of how I'm wall sharing this. Oh, fuck. You know, surprisingly, I can basically afford this. Okay, it's not that big of a deal. Cool, these are crafting too. Holy shit. That was a fun build. This one was fun. I like this. The only issue is it doesn't really fit in the old building I had, which, by the way, I had to shift this entire wall over by 1, just like I did for the RHFs. And still, it's kind of not big enough. It could work with this design, I think. If I extruded this over that way, I think that would look fine, so I'm gonna have to do that. But yeah, this thing is done. And this one in the front is going to be on quantum cooling mode. There are 2 modes, 2 different recipe maps, basically. This front one will be quantum cooling, and the one in the back, which I have in a chest right now, will be the vacuum freezer. And if I want more vacuum freezers, and I imagine I will, I can just place more over here. If I want more quantum coolers, though, I don't know. Vertical? I don't know. I've got to say, I am excited to see how much extra EU per tick I'm going to get from the superstate helium. It should be a lot. Ooh, oh my god. All the way up to a max of 201 million EU per tick. Yeah, that's a lot. That is a lot. I might have to upgrade the lasers here, even. Just in time for my borealic casings to finish, too. I'm going to swap these out. I see that I have one free for some reason. I'm going to put that on aurorium. This is made with nether star concentrate and liquid seaborgium, so this is going to hurt. Maybe I should do this on demand. I don't know. There's also oganescent plasma that I need to make. This is made with liquid selenium and liquid fermium 257. Oh, this is gonna suck because fermium 257 is made from nuclear reactor chain. Yeah, this is getting complicated. Besides that, I also unlock magmatic plasma made of infernal concentrate and iron plasma. And that's actually it. Only 3 new unlocks. Anyway, with aurorium and oganescent plasma, I can continue on. Specifically, I'll be able to make oganescent stabilized Bose-Einstein condensate and oganescent gas. This is done in quantum cooling, simply by cooling the plasma with liquid helium into oganescent gas, and then the gas is combined with superstate helium-3 to make oganescent stabilized Bose-Einstein condensate. That will be used with magmata alloy plasma to make magmata alloy. And this plasma is made in a Hellforge, which I'm going to have to look at. Besides that, I can also make mithrolic alloy and starium alloy. Once I have those, UEV. Mithrolic is the main material for the casings. And once I have that and some aurorium, I can pretty much make UEV energy hatches, which will unlock a ton of stuff. Also, once I have these alloys, I can make a sterile cleaning maintenance hatch, which is very nice because it counts as both a clean room and a sterile clean room. A little expensive, needs UEV parts, which actually I should look at right now. Ton of starium is my guess. Also magmata alloy, zapolgium, adamantine, all high tier stuff. But yeah, the goal is to progress through all of these and get magmata alloy coil blocks, because once I have those, I can make the Hellforged armor, which will allow me to enter the end. So, time to get to work. I'm actually gonna change up how I'm approaching the whole plasma situation. Instead of dedicating any single aux to any single plasma, I think I'm instead going to level maintain all of the plasmas. I'm going to pattern everything, proxy everything, and then all of the reactors will do all of the recipes. And if I can't keep up, then I just make more reactors. That's also going to be a lot easier to manage than remembering which reactor does what plasma, or like checking every single one, because that is already annoying, and I only have like a couple of reactors. The only real question is, what do I do with these? I guess I can hook them up with proxies too, and then they just won't be able to do some recipes, they'll be able to do others, so maybe that's actually a good thing. I can live with that. Oganescent plasma, aurorium ingots. I checkmarked this quest, but these are patterned. And now, to do the UEV alloys, I need a Hellforge. Specifically, this Hellforge. Question is, where do I put it? And a better question is, how many do I need? I'm going to start with 1. I would be very surprised if 1 was enough. Where to put it, though, is actually a pretty good question. I need to find out how many of these I actually need before I commit to spamming them somewhere. So maybe I'll ask around somewhere. I'll be right back with a plan. Okay, the answer is I need quite a few. Of course, there is an automation challenge here, so I'm going to start with 1. Okay, I've been looking into how to actually automate this thing. I'm not sure exactly how I want to start, but I think I at least understand the problem. So each of these recipes needs a certain temperature before it can be performed. For example, the Magmata alloy plasma requires 708 megakelvin. The Hellforge has two, not modes exactly, but two recipe maps. This one, the Hadean crucible heating, this burns fuel, like the cinder brew solvent, to add temperature to the machine. I get some infernal tar back, which can be centrifuged for some stuff, but that's not important. What matters is that each of these different fluids has a different maximum heating cap and has a different amount of heat that's added per recipe. So the two fluids I have access to are Flamewick solvent and cinder brew solvent. And as you can see, the Flamewick solvent adds 50 megakelvin, but has a maximum temperature of 900 megakelvin, while the cinder brew solvent adds only 10 megakelvin, but has a maximum temperature of 1350 megakelvin. So it has a higher cap, but it adds 5 times less than Flamewick solvent. And as a reminder, the cinder brew solvent is made from Flamewick, and it's 10 buckets of Flamewick for 2 buckets of cinder brew solvent, so it's far more expensive, 5 times more expensive to be using cinder brew solvent. That said, if my temperature exceeds the recipe requirement by multiples of 450 megakelvin, I get 2 to the n parallels for n times over the recipe. So for example, this recipe again, 708 megakelvin, 1350, if I were to bring the machine up to 1350 megakelvin, that is more than 450 megakelvin up from the 708 minimum requirement, which means I get 2 to the 1 absolute parallels. So 2 parallels basically. And these are absolute parallels, which means no extra energy use. Which is nice, but honestly, 2 is not a lot, so I probably won't do an optimal setup here. But I get the idea of what the optimal setup kind of looks like. Because the Flamewick solvent adds more heat per cycle than the cinder brew, you want to use the Flamewick solvent to get up to the Flamewick cap of 900 megakelvin and then switch to using cinder brew to go further. But I have a feeling that in this moment, I probably shouldn't be using cinder brew, because it's pretty expensive to make, and maybe Emberheart nectar becomes easier to produce later on. This is just a guess, but if that is true, then it's probably best for me to go Flamewick, then go Emberheart, then go, the next low tier fuel instead of the high tier ones, but I'm not sure about that. For now, I don't see myself keeping up with the use of cinder brew solvent, so I'm probably just going to use Flamewick solvent and then eat the extra time. And if I want that extra parallel, I'll just place another machine. Yes, it's going to cost twice as much power, but the speed's going to be the same as if I had an absolute parallel, an extra absolute parallel. And I can swing the energy cost, so it doesn't matter to me. That said, the number of absolute parallels is 2 to the n, so it's going to scale really quickly. It's exponential. So just placing more machines is not going to keep up. At some point, I'm going to have to tackle this, but I don't think I should until I have more fuels available to me. So for now, I'm just going to figure out how to get this to do the heating cycles until the heat cap is met and then switch to doing actual recipes. That should be as simple as a toggle bus though. I did place this thing over here, a redstone variadic interface. This thing emits a signal based on whichever one of these options I choose. So percentage to 900 megakelvin means I get a clamped value between 0 to 15, the current temperature divided by 900 megakelvin times 15. So it's basically like, how far am I to 900 megakelvin? Once I hit like 750 megakelvin, I can do all 3 of these recipes, 708 even, whatever that signal is. Based on that, I can cut the fuel supply. Ooh, one last thing about how this thing works. Every 10 seconds, the Hellforge will always lose 5 megakelvin of its heat. And when it's dormant, it loses 120 megakelvin every 10 seconds. What this is telling me is I probably want to passive these materials. And what that is telling me is I am fucked. Because these are not easy materials for me. I mean, like the mithril. Okay, I take it back. This is mostly pretty easy. But like, basically it's the nether materials that are a little problematic, like the adamantine, the mithril, and the estalt. I'm not sure I can keep this up constantly with my current nether lines. We'll see. First things first, automation. I'm going to do a little bit of on-demand here. It's fine if I'm a little bit inefficient. As a certain great saint once said, sometimes you need to be inefficient to be efficient. I'll be back with the setup. Okay, I'm still playing around with the solution here. What I have at the top is I have a stocking bus, or a stocking hatch with Flamewick solvent, and I have an inverted toggle bus, which means I will be providing heating fluid as long as I don't get a redstone signal. Here, clearly, I have a redstone signal, and I have a comparator here. This part is a little weird. I wish there was like a Draconic Evolution potentiometer or something where I could just set a number for the signal strength, but I had to do it with just distance loss. So what I have here is a comparator setup that will allow the signal to go through if it is at least as strong as this, which is 12. And at a signal of 12, I will have enough heat to do all 3 of these recipes, which are the only 3 recipes I currently care about. So once the heat is high enough that it can do all of those, this signal will go through, and this gets cut off. If the signal is too low, the signal will not go through, and this will not get cut off. Once it is cut off, the Hellforge will be able to detect other recipes besides heating ones. It does prioritize heating recipes in recipe checks. But once it's cut off, it obviously can't do that recipe, and so instead, it will do whatever's in this pattern buffer, which in this case is Magmata Alloy Plasma. Pretty slow. Pretty fucking slow. But I can make catalysts soon. I do need a little bit of Magmata Alloy to do this in the first place, but once I have some, this cuts down on the time quite a bit. Definitely worth using, because it's a 15% reduction in recipe time and a 25% increase in output yield, which means it is almost 50% faster, which is pretty awesome. I also get this Hellfire Ash Dust. This can be manifold centrifuged into a couple of sort of useless dusts, to be honest. I also get some Infernal Tar. The deactivated Nether Dust is probably the best thing, but you don't get much. The Infernal Tar can be centrifuged. I also get this from heating cycles. This can be centrifuged into Infernal Concentrate, which is kind of nice, but all the other stuff is, it's okay. I'm not mad about it, but it's whatever. This also means I can finally make the Hell Crown, because I can make Magmata Alloy rounds, which I'm pretty sure were the last thing I actually needed to make the Hell Crown. That would be pretty convenient. But I'm going to get this Mithrolic going, I'm going to get this Starium going, and I'm pretty sure that when the temperature drops below what's required, the heating cycle will just begin again. So what this is telling me is basically that I need to passive flame wick solvent, because making this in the heat chambers is very slow. 32 seconds at UEV for, well, 2.5 buckets because of the throughput boosting, but oh my god, that is quite painful. Times 8, but still, that's not very good. Not very good for on-demand, but it's probably fine for passive because this won't be running all the time, right? I can now continue on to UEV. Ooh, wait a minute. Basically, right after I enter UEV, I need to make Palarovium Alloy Plasma. This needs 878 megakelvin, which means I need to increase the threshold here, which sort of means like it just needs to be maxed out all the time. So maybe this is what happens. In 2 minutes, this should start heating up, and it should basically stay at max temperature all the time. This is definitely not the most efficient way to do this. I'm so sure of that. Like I said, I'm gonna wait for the better fuels before I truly optimize this. Anyway, UEV time. Thank you for watching this episode of the HamCorp Training Manual. In the next episode, we will enter UEV and craft Magmata Alloy Coils. The end is in sight. The dimension, not the end of training. See you next time.